Welcome back, everybody. Today we are reviewing The Covenant, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. He is putting his name front and center in this movie, and I don't know. Let me look up if he's done this before. Like I've never seen like Guy Ritchie's so and so before, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let me look at the poster for like The Gentleman or something. I mean, it says directed by Guy Ritchie, but I guess just because, it's The Gentleman, The Covenant, I don't know. But it just seems like this one was definitely more front and center that Guy Ritchie directed this. So, The Covenant, it takes place in 2018 in Afghanistan. Jake Gyllenhaal is a sergeant and he recruits Ahmed. He is one of the Afghani interpreters to help with the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan. And after kind of proving his worth during one mission that Jake Gyllenhaal can trust this guy, they get ambushed by the Taliban and Jake Gyllenhaal's squad gets completely wiped out. Ahmed and him are the only survivors. Jake Gyllenhaal is severely injured, and Ahmed basically has to drag him on a sled for almost 100 miles through enemy territory to get back to the U.S. base. And when Jake Gyllenhaal wakes up in the hospital in California, he is making it his mission to get Ahmed and his family visas to get him out of there because he is the most wanted man by the Taliban after obviously escorting a U.S. soldier through their territory, kind of embarrassing them. And like this story becomes like this huge like folklore tale against the Taliban, and they can't have that. I was not sure what to expect from this movie. Guy Ritchie has just been pumping these movies out these last few years. Like he's made The Covenant, Operation Fortune, Wrath of Man, The Gentleman, and Aladdin since 2019. Now, The Gentleman was like right before COVID, and then Wrath of Man was like, I feel like The Gentleman, it says 2019, but that feels like a 2020 movie to me. I don't know, maybe I just missed it in theaters. Maybe it was right before. But yeah, that actually was a 2020 movie because I remember talking about it in studio on SEN. But he has just been pumping these movies out, and they're all pretty high quality. Now, you could say, like, when I did my Operation Fortune Rose de Guerre review, I was like, this feels like very Guy Ritchie, very Gentleman-esque, very Snatch and Rock and Rolla and stuff like that. Right, Rock and Rolla is Guy Ritchie, right? That's not Matthew Vaughn. I get them. They have very similar directing styles. Yes, it is him. But this is such an interesting take, like an interesting subject matter. I never would have put Guy Ritchie to. I didn't know he wrote this movie as well, and it's a very touching movie about brotherhood, about men keeping their word, about doing the right thing, and it was very unexpected. Like. It's not, even in Wrath of Man with Jason Statham is a very straightforward, very brutal kind of like revenge action movie about a guy that loses his son and like goes undercover to this armored truck company and tries to suss out what is going on. There's like a few Guy Ritchie-isms there, but like it's not, there's no tongue-in-cheek, there's no Hugh Grant, doing his devilish grin. There's no Jason Statham fast talking in that one or like, oh yeah, boss. Like it's just straight line. This is still even more sincere than that. There's not a single Guy Ritchie camera twist, fast cut, quick wit, ad lib. There's none of that. And that's why I know he's a good director, but I was just so surprised by the subject material that I was like, you know what, Guy Ritchie must have had something personal in his life happen related to the Afghanistan war or something along these lines, or just like felt very compelled to tell this story because it is a great story about how these Afghanis, like, they did go against the Taliban. They did put their lives and their families' lives and like anybody they know lives basically to help interpret for the U.S. soldiers in order to get a visa to get out of Afghanistan. And at the end of the movie, like it says, like, no, I'm not spoiling anything. It's just, credits after the movie. It says, like, 300 interpreters and their families have been killed by the Taliban since the war began, and thousands more are in hiding. And it's like, yeah, these people put their entire family's sake, namesake, bloodline, however you want to put it, on the line to do their duty. And I was so surprised because I just watched Evil Dead. And, it's a big crowd reaction, like, people going crazy and stuff like that. And, like, that's a movie you expect that in. You expect that, like, oh my God, like, for these, like, gory, fun movies. I did not expect the crowd reaction I got from this, where people were cheering, people were gasping, people were dialed into this movie. And it wasn't like a full theater, packed house or anything. I went to like a 10:30 showing on a Sunday night. But there's a good amount of people in there. And everyone was so tuned into this movie, and I couldn't really blame them. The first part where Ahmed, played by Dar Salim, I could have used more of him in this movie, and I know it's about Jake Gyllenhaal trying to get him out, so once he gets him back to the base, you focus on Jake Gyllenhaal, and there's like one scene where you see Ahmed's family like running from the Taliban and how hard he's got it. I wish we would have... I know it would have been probably repetitive, but I just want more of Dar Salim in this movie because he's just so good. I could have, like, that first and second act of the movie is a movie within itself. Like, the fact that we get more of this after Jake Gyllenhaal gets to the base. Like, there is action, there is just intensity. You are on the edge of your seat with how they're, evading the Taliban, fighting the Taliban, escaping the Taliban, like hiding from them. There are so many good scenes, and it shows the experience of Guy Ritchie as a director to not like, oh, here it comes. Like things just happen and you're just along for the ride, and it's so well played out. And this is where the talent acting of Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim come into play, because this easily could have been like a straight to VOD movie. This could have been like some kind of, 6-part series, not on HBO because they would have done it amazing, but maybe like on Netflix or, Paramount Plus or something. But this is why you get Jake Gyllenhaal, is because there is a scene when he is trying to convince people to go get this man and his family out of Afghanistan. This is why you get Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't want to spoil anything, but the performance Jake Gyllenhaal gives, this could have been a paycheck movie. This could have been hey, I'm not really doing anything. I like this script. I like Guy Ritchie. Let me work with him. He is putting his entire back into this movie, and I respect him for it. And it's such a great performance by him. It's such a great performance by Dar Salim. There are things I wish we would have gotten more with Jake Gyllenhaal's family about, there's like a whole montage of like him, calling the State Department, trying to get, and like, just losing hope. And I wish they would have shown like how his family was becoming more distant in him, because like he can't sleep because this man literally drug him 100 miles through enemy territory, and now he feels like he's just abandoned him and he can't do anything about it. He's trying to, but like he can't. He feels so helpless. And that's probably my one big criticism of this movie, is that I wish they would have shown the effect it had on the people surrounding him, not just him. It's because he starts, drinking, he starts spiraling. And I wish it would have shown the reaction a little bit from his family, from his wife. And while I like the one interaction, like the wife is basically non-existent. And I feel like they could have done better with that, about showing like, hey, I thought my husband was dead for a few weeks. I get him back. He is safe. But now all he can think about is getting this person back that saved his life. And while I understand the duty that he has to that man, and I understand that my husband would not be here without him, I don't want him going back into the most dangerous part of the planet for him, where he's like top 5 most wanted on the Taliban list and possibly die. And so I wish they would have delved in a little more to that, because I feel like that's such a huge thing, where like she understands the debt he owes, but also he has a family and a wife to support, and like, what does he owe them? And I wish they would have gone in a little more to that, but I understand that the angle is the brotherhood between Ahmed and Sergeant John Kinley, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. But overall, I do recommend this movie, guys. This was a big surprise for me, because I remember seeing the trailers like, Guy Ritchie doing this, okay. And I'm really excited for the future of Guy Ritchie. Like this back to back with Operation Fortune just proves that you can't put directors in a box, and you can't just be like, oh, this is what I want to see from you. Not this, but this is what I want to see. You know, I like the fun crime, British crime dramas, spy stuff, but don't do anything serious. And this just feels like he can do what he wants, and I like that, and I want that for all directors, where it's like, yeah, I want to branch out a little bit. I know you guys like me for this, and I feel like that's just the world we live in, is where we see something we like from any kind of creator, and we just want that. We don't want anything different from them, and I like that Guy Ritchie is really stretching here, and I like that. So a strong recommend for me, guys. If you can't catch it in theaters, definitely do it on VOD, but I recommend this in theaters because there are some tense scenes, some really intense firefights, where you could tell there was like a little bit of a budget in this, but it's not like overblown or, you know, Michael Bay-esque or anything. Like, they keep it grounded, and I really like that. So, strong recommend for me, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons who are seeing this a few days early. And have a good day, guys. Bye.